This is Daily Devotions for Gloria Day Lutheran Church. My name is Karen Barali. I lead the bereavement ministry team here at Gloria Day. This time we're in now is like an interim time where everything that we know has changed or stopped. It's like being in the wilderness. You may have heard me give a temple talk in February where I invited you on a journey with no map, no GPS, no known destination, and not knowing what time we might arrive. Most of you said you weren't interested in that journey, but then I described it as the journey of grief. And isn't that where we are now? In these trying times, I turn to a favorite Bible passage for hope and comfort. One of my favorites is Romans chapter 12. In this chapter, Paul gives a series of instructions for our life in Christ. Verse 12 says, "Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, and faithful in prayer." It's also translated as in hope rejoicing, in tribulation enduring, in prayer persevering. In this Easter season, we do have hope, and we know hope because of the resurrection. We also have the beautiful flowers and trees that are blooming and the sunshine most recently reminding us of the glory of God. But what about patience? Patience isn't easy, especially if you couple it with affliction. And COVID-19 and the stay-at-home orders, that definitely feels like an affliction. Many people are experiencing tremendous losses, loss of life, loss of loved ones, loss of health and jobs and income. There's also the loss of the normal rituals and community gatherings. These losses result in grief. And what about the smaller losses that also affect our emotional health? Name something that you care about or that gives meaning to your life. In all likelihood, these things are now negatively affected or threatened in some way by the pandemic. Whether it's a missed graduation or prom, canceled sports seasons and performances, postponed weddings or vacations, and separation from family and friends when we need them the most. We all have losses. We've also lost that predictability that we take for granted in daily life, that there will be eggs and toilet paper at the store, that we can safely touch a doorknob with our bare hands, that we can go to the gym or get a haircut or get our teeth cleaned or even go to the movies on a Saturday afternoon. And then, of course, we worry. What will happen next to us, to our loved ones, our income? Our anxiety about all the future unknowns is also part of our grief. So we are grieving. We experience shock and disbelief. We worry, a form of fear. We become sad, and in this isolation, we may be lonely. We get angry. We might be feeling guilty or regretful. And all of these thoughts and feelings form a part of our grief. And yet in Romans, Paul tells us to be patient in time of affliction. And how can we navigate these chaotic times? Well, the first thing we can do is acknowledge our grief. Grieving is a process. It requires us to feel a kind of sadness that many of us are so uncomfortable with that we try and go around it or get rid of it. Even under normal circumstances, we do this to ourselves and to our children. A child might say, "I'm sad," and the parent, in trying to remove the sadness, might say, "Oh, don't be sad. Here, let's go do something. Have a treat." In the age of coronavirus, a child might say, "I'm so sad that I'm missing seeing my friends every day." And the parent, in trying to lessen that child's pain, could say, "Oh, but we're so lucky we're not sick and you'll get to see your friends soon." A more helpful response might be, "I see how sad you are about this. You miss being with your friends so much. It's a big loss not to have that." Just as our kids need to have their grief acknowledged, we also need to acknowledge our own and talk about it. We tend to mistake feeling less for feeling better. But it really helps to remember that our feelings are still there. They just come out in other ways. In an inability to sit still, in being short-tempered, which is, of course, problematic when you're in close quarters, a lack of appetite, or maybe it's a struggle to not eat, so too much appetite, and an inability to concentrate or sleep. The more we can say to ourselves and the people around us, yes, these are meaningful losses, the more soothed we will feel. Also, staying in the present can be helpful in being patient. What we are experiencing is ambiguous grief. It's murky. On top of our tangible losses, we don't know how long this will last or what will happen next. Ambiguous grief can leave us in this state of ongoing worry, anticipating what can happen. It's important for us to stay grounded in the present instead of futurizing or catastrophizing, and this requires patience. So try and adopt a concept of both and. This means that we can feel and acknowledge the loss in the present and also feel safe where we are, in reading a book or in walking close to home, eating lunch with family if we are quarantining together, connecting via phone or video, and celebrating those milestones like birthdays via video chats. We may have lost our sense of normalcy, but we can still stay in the present for the ordinary that is right in front of us. People grieve in different ways, and it's important to let people experience loss in their own way. There's no one-size-fits-all for grief. Everybody goes through it in a unique way, so let people grieve in the way that works for them and doesn't diminish their losses or pressure them to grieve in a way that works for you. For instance, a college student who's grieving the loss of an in-person spring quarter might want to isolate in a bedroom, while another who's grieving the exact same loss might decide they need a lot of family time. Similarly, one person in a couple might want to stay up on all the latest facts and figures and information and talk about that over dinner, where another one might want to simply binge watch Love is Blind and not talk about what's going on at all. Others might clean out their closets or stress bake. Paul's last direction in the verse is to be faithful in prayer or persevere in prayer. During the usual busyness in our lives, prayer might be lost. Now that we are asked to physically be distant and stay at home, we have an opportunity to focus and be faithful in prayer. Our pastors have invited us to pray every morning at 10 a.m. Prayer can be more thoughtful, more often, and for more people. These are difficult times, these interim times. My prayer for you is that God will be with you in what feels like the times of chaos and bring you hope, patience, and peace. I'd like to finish today by reading from The Cure for Sorrow by Jan Richardson. It's a book of blessings. And this blessing is the blessing in the chaos. To all that is chaotic in you, let there be silence. Let there be a calming of the clamoring, a stilling of the voices that have laid their claim on you, that have made their home in you, that go with you even to the holy places but will not let you rest, will not let you hear your life with wholeness or feel the grace that fashioned you. Let what distracts you cease. Let what divides you cease. Let there come an end to what diminishes and demeans, and let depart all that keeps you in its cage. Let there be an opening into the quiet that lies beneath the chaos, where you find the peace you did not think possible and see what shimmers within the storm.